What is up, ladies and gents, and welcome to my Fugitive skill build, the brand new skill tree added with the release of Old Hoxton. To those of you living under a rock for the last month, Hoxton is back from Payday the Heist as a playable character, and with him there is a new perk deck and a new skill tree. So the format of this video is I'm going to first of all run through my skills very briefly, and then we'll switch to some gameplay showing off the skills. It's the same build I used in yesterday's free Hoxton overkill videos, and I'm going to basically talk you through the more important skills in greater detail. So let's first of all take a look, and it's kind of important to mention the weapons I'm using. I've talked about them before, and again I'll go back to that a little later in the video. So looking at the Fugitive skill tree, there's an awful lot of skills in the Fugitive skill tree that are immensely interesting, that I've actually missed out on this build, but definitely feel could be really useful on different builds. Best example I would say is Bullseye, this regeneration of armor. If you want to do your shotgun tank build and you can somehow spec into Bullseye, you could be basically unstoppable. But let's, as I said, look through my build. So starting off with the Fugitive unlock, we then move on to Thick Skin. These are, early on, I was actually kind of disappointed. They're kind of standard. Hidden Blade, lowering my concealment. I'll get onto why I want to make my concealment as low as possible later. Then I move up to get Duck and Cover, which is quite a good skill. 5% better chance to dodge, 15% over or while crouching. Then Run and Gun, as always. Something that increases movement speed is excellent, and the ace stability, the movement while steel sight aiming in, is also really good. It reminds me of a perk back when I played Call of Duty called Stalker. Then on tier number 3 we have Quick Fix. Now I actually completely glazed over the first aid kits. They are a very different version of the Mastermind's aid kits. Essentially you want these two skills. You want uppers and you want Quick Fix, because that's going to make your first aid kits worthwhile. You need a lot of them, and overall you'll have 14 thanks to that. Early on they are absolutely a worse version of the med kit. However, once you've got a lot of them, there is definitely something to be said for bringing one set of 14 on a mission. They are, while they don't revive your downs, so what's important about med kits is that once you go down to 0 downs, you get down again, you go straight into custody, you can take a med kit and you're back up to 3. With these, it doesn't work like that, but the idea behind medkits, in my idea, they're more of a personal healing tool, first of all, for the Fugitive, who's often running low armor, and also they function to keep your team topped up, so they never have to get down, and I am actually a huge fan. Unfortunately, on release day, they were a little broken and weren't always coming out, but since then it seems to have been fixed, and I've had no problems with them. Then we aced out Trigger Happy. Now, this sort of gives away the game on my weapons of choice. I'm using pistols, 3 pistols in fact, 2 as my primary thanks to the Akimbo skill, which we'll get onto later, and then 1 secondary. Now it's important that you pick pistols you are comfortable with. I'm actually using the Shimano Custom as my secondary, which was actually added very recently, and then as my primary I'm using the Akimbo Burnettis, which are actually really powerful, I found. Now, this Trigger Happy skill is a skill I'm going to get into in much more detail later on, but safe to say it's very powerful. Then we pick up Akimbo, because when we look at the perk deck a little later on, you will see I actually cannot have an Akimbo perk, so I have to pick it up in the skill tree, and this is overall actually better than what the Hitman perk deck offers, so you want to try and pick this up if at all possible. Now, the two skills I've glazed over, I've done so on purpose. There's a lot to talk about as far as their viability, whether you need to ace them or not, and also I would probably advise these are the skills that you drop if you let me quickly show you. I'm missing Fast Hands, cannot get enough skills in that. I don't know why I didn't at least get number 1 instead of something like Chameleon, but I'm also missing Transporter. Therefore, I have a much harder time carrying my bags around, and some missions this build is not ideal. If you drop these 2 Fugitive skills, Sneaky Bastard and Low Blow, you can definitely spec into some other stuff at the lower end of Enforcer and Ghost, and therefore make it an overall maybe cross-heist viable build. But seeing as how I made this build primarily for the Hoxton Breakout heist, and there's not a lot of carrying you have to do in that mission, it seemed correct to pick these up. But like I said, I'll talk about them in more detail later on. Now let's look at the Mastermind. The Mastermind is, in my opinion, the perfect accompanying skill tree. Seeing as how I'm using a pistol secondary as well, I can make real use out of those pistol skills in here. So working our way up, starting off, we're going to be running all the way up to Inspire, as you notice up here. I'm going to be very quick with this because you guys are used to Mastermind builds. I actually pick up Combat Medic and Painkillers because I'm going to be reviving a lot. Endurance is always important, everyone knows that. Leadership, especially if you're using akimbo pistols, getting more stability is definitely worthwhile. Then we went for Equilibrium. Get first point in Spotter, it's actually surprisingly good. 15 more damage against specials you have marked. All the way up to Gunslinger, more pistol skills, and as I said, Inspire. Finally, I actually picked up Cable Guy. I don't know whether this is really necessary. Oh, and I got Control Freak because it had a point. Again, there are other skills you might want to try and pick up, or you might want the ability to bring ammo or something like that. Just quickly glazing over, I actually picked up a Sprinter. I advise you get Cleaner and then maybe swap Chameleon out for at least 1 point in Fast Hands. So that is the build. Again, I'll get on to the details of the important skills a little later on. They'll be popping up on screen during the gameplay. But finally, let's take a look at my perk deck, which is not fully complete just yet, but it is the Crook perk deck, and overall I think this is probably the top one of the top 2 perk decks of choice. I would say Muscle and Crook are very powerful. 2 different styles of play. I am usually more of a muscle man, but since they've added these huge chances to dodge, I found that Crook is just a little more consistent than how dodge used to be, and overall I've seen a sort of leveling out in the playing field and actually really like dodge now. Get to run fast as well, which is a huge boon. So you're going to want to pick up Subtle for additional chance to dodge. Helmet popping, everyone has that. Basic Composure, more dodge chance, but this is only with Ballistic Vest, so as if that isn't giving away what the equipment I use, I actually do use the lightweight Ballistic Vest armor type. Then moving on, blending in as with everyone else. That additional 1 point in concealment is more helpful for this skill tree though. Movement speed. Advanced Composure, more chance to dodge with Ballistic Vest, no worries, we're already bringing the Ballistic Vest with us. Walking Closet, every skill tree has this, but don't forget the ammo pickup is hugely helpful for your pistols because you're not going to have the usual ammo pickup skills I tend to run on my Enforcer builds. Then Expert Composure is basically the last important skill. Once you've got up to here, you're going to be very powerful. You're going to be dodging an awful lot of bullets. These last 2 skills, everyone has Fast and Furious. It's useful, but at 5% damage doesn't make a huge load of difference. Then finally, Master Recovery. I think it's helpful to get that 10%, but doesn't make a huge difference either way. And of course, you get your deck completion bonus. So, as I've said, Crook is a very powerful perk deck, basically akin to the Muscle Tree if you're more of a dodge evasion tank. And I found it really enjoyable to just sort of pick up the pace with my lightweight Ballistic Vest over the improved combined Tactical Vest. Now, as I said, the weapons are important, so you're going to want to make sure you have a powerful pistol of your choice. As I said, I would advise the Baronettis if you want to go for the Akimbo, and the Shimano Custom is really strong all around. So that is my build. I'll get into why I think it's quite powerful in just a second. Let's take a look at the gameplay. Okay, so let's kick this off with some very important skills as far as dodging is concerned. So the whole premise behind this build is instead of being tanky, the enemies just can't damn well hit you. So the overall dodge, or improvement to dodge I should say, on this build is 66% when crouching. Now, just to quickly walk you through the skills that are allowing this, Duck and Cover is allowing for it when I crouch, and then all the way up here we have Sneaky Best. Other than that, all the skills are in the perk deck, so as long as you're working your way through the Crook perk deck, you're going to have huge amounts of dodge on your Ballistic Vest. Now, Sneaky Bastard is a perk that I really wanted to talk about, and I'll talk about it alongside Low Blow because they're pretty similar skills. You gain a 1% dodge chance for every 3 points of concealment under 35 up to 10%. Now then, so to get the full bonus, to get the full potential bonus if you just basic this out, then you need to go down to 5 concealment, which means you're really limited on your weapons of choice. I personally have 16 concealment, which gives me 6% dodge chance. Same here, on the low below skill you get 3% critical hit chance for every 3 points. That means that I have an 18% critical hit chance. Now if I was to sink a total of 16 more points into these two skills to give me my full critical hit bonus and my full dodge bonus, I'd only be getting 4% more dodge and 12% more crit chance for, as I said, a whole 16 skill points. It just is a false economy if you ask me. It's not worth putting your money and your points into fully acing out Sneaky Bastard and Low Blow. I can advocate getting them basic as I have, and that's what I advise to most of you if you're going to just be doing the missions that don't involve carrying of loot bags, because otherwise just drop into Ghost or Enforcer and pick up things like Fast Hands and Transporter. Next up, I want to talk about Akimbo, because I made a pretty rash comment about how Akimbo is much better than it was when really not an awful lot has been changed. Well, I think some things have been changed and added that really does improve Akimbo, and I'm just going to quickly explain why that is. So the actual skill itself now, if you ace it out as I have, you get 150% more ammo in them, and you only have a 25% stability penalty, which you can easily pick up with skills in the Mastermind tree, such as Leadership. So, why is this much more powerful? Well, it's certainly a small buff on what the Hitman skill tree gave you, and it's a little bit easier to pick up than actually working your whole way through the Hitman perk deck, I should have said. What you're doing by avoiding having to work your way through the Hitman perk deck is you're avoiding a lot of dead perks. Hitman has some really dodgy armor perks, which I'm not a huge fan of and will try and stray away from, whereas Crook is all about dodging, and that playstyle just suits Akimbo infinitely more. Getting up in people's faces with the right Akimbo weapons of choice, you can actually take enemies out from really decent distance, and they're very versatile, so I think Akimbo weapons should be your weapon of choice if you're running this build. Otherwise, you're just going to want to swap Akimbo around for something like Bullseye, which I'm not going to talk about in too much detail because I don't have it on right now, but definitely see this skill to be one of the best high-end Deathwish skills if you're running something like Shotgun Enforcer. Might have mentioned that earlier on. Now, as far as Trigger Happy is concerned, which is towards the top end of Fugitive, it's an immensely important skill for this pistol build. Each successful pistol hit grants a 10% damage boost for 2 seconds and can stack 4 times. So you can get a 40% damage boost over 8 seconds if you ace this out as I have. That is unbelievably strong. That's going to turn your 3-shot headshots into a 1-shot headshot sometimes against the right enemies, and if your aim is right. It really catalyzes pistols into something a lot more powerful. I think Trigger Happy might be the best skill they have added to this skill tree, and overall there's a lot of variation, a lot of interesting things. You've got things like Counter Strike, which as far as melee weapon skills go, it's an awesome idea, but I don't think it quite stands up to things like Trigger Happy if you're trying to do these missions on Deathwish. Now, last but not least, we're going to just take a quick brief glance at the bottom end skills in the Fugitive skill tree. We have things like uppers giving you more and more medkits. That's huge. I mentioned that briefly previously, but 40 medkits is enough for basically a half-hour long mission. It should hold you out as long as you're running your dodge properly. Then the run and gun perk, more movement speed, is really, really helpful. And the fact that your movement speed isn't hindered while steel sighting is going to make you aiming down sight with pistols and walking along a road. You'll notice me taking really long shots, not slowing down, and just mowing through them like I'm using some sort of light machine gun. There are, as I've said, I will go into more detail about these in the future, a lot of sort of repeated skills. You can run the Fugitive as a pseudo like ghost with some of these stealth skills they've got. They've got doubled up skills such as the ability to carry another body bag, or shooting enemies will make their deaths 100% silent, essentially. But also, if you look at the Winston Wolf, I couldn't avoid talking about this. During stealth, you know how to kill without leaving a trace, reducing your cleaning cost by 75%. I don't know if I'm happy about this skill. I get the idea behind it, and it is only during stealth, but it seems like it's catering to the old run into a bank heist, just kill everybody. No challenge, kill everybody, drop your ECMs out, complete the heist. It surprises me that Overkill is catering to that playstyle, but live and let live, I guess. Very briefly, talking about Mastermind skills, Equilibrium and Gunslinger are for my secondary pistol primarily. As I've already said, leadership's excellent. And then you're running Inspire, Painkillers, Combat Medic for this sort of fast-paced revival team player build, but you'll still end up with the most damn kills because the pistols are so powerful running fugitive skills. So that is it for the video. I hope you have enjoyed, and if you'd like to check out this skill tree and try it for yourselves, I would be honored for you to take a look at it. It might not be quite as powerful as my old Enforcer Tech build, but it definitely has some real potential if placed in the right hands. I'm sure General McBadass will be taking a look at something very similar, and that's more his playstyle, whereas I'm more of a heavy gunner. So I hope you've enjoyed this skill tree video, and I'll see you all in the next one.